Welcome back to Light Talk, where everyday people can share their spiritual journey stories with a safe and supportive community. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, email lighttalk423 at gmail.com. While you're at it, click on that like, share, and subscribe button. Let's welcome our guest today. Tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is Kaci Davignon. I'm from the middle of the United States. I live in Kansas. I'm a channel and a healer, and I got called into this work. I've had this gift as a baby, and I got called into this work about a year ago to truly surrender and go full time with it. So here I am.
Awesome. That sounds like such an amazing story you have. So, how did you get started into all of this? What brought you into it?
So as I said, I've had this since I was a baby, and I've always referred to spirit as like another parent, and I've heard them since I was a child. They were always teaching me things, very wise things that, and as a child, I couldn't grasp a lot of their teachings that they were talking about, but they would say, you're going to use this in the later part of your life. And in my late 20s, I was having a hard time as we were talking before, prior before we got recording, I was always a wildflower. I was in different jobs. I was great at climbing a corporate ladder, but I never could fit in their box. When the walls start closing in on me, it was like I had to fight my way out. And I always needed open spaces. And Spirit talked to me about really owning my truth, owning who I am, and all parts of me. And I'm from Kansas, where that is, mediumship is not something that is, or channeling or anything like that. It's not something that's really accepted. And fear is a very common practice out here. If you don't fit in, you have a few options you can adhere to. You have to show certain emotions, and those were happiness, confidence, bravery, all of that quote, quote, good emotions. And you weren't allowed to show anything else. And so from a young age, I had learned to be a chameleon, and I would just blend in. And as I got through my corporate career, that's what I was doing. And there came a point when I just couldn't do it anymore. And I would just fight my way out and self sabotage and do all of these things. And what I found was from spirit was because I wasn't owning my own truth, was because I wasn't owning my own authenticity, I was out of alignment. And until I became in alignment, things were just going to be like paddling up the shit creek with no paddles, excuse my language. And it was just that. And so in my late 20s, they came and started really pressing on me to open my heart more. That's when I discovered I was different, freaked me out. So, of course, the Kansas way, you got to suppress, right? We don't want to be different. We got to blend in. So I had a lot of fight in that. And I had an angelic experience. And even through that, I was fighting, I was bargaining. I was like, okay, dude, like I had this angel that showed up and was like, you have to start using your voice. You have to start helping people. You are a medium, you are a channel. Like, you really need to help people heal. And I, like, the whole time this man was talking, like, I'll never forget, his mouth wouldn't move. Like, they were speaking clairsentiently, and I was like bargaining. And I was just like, I will do this if no one can see me. I will do this under the radar, and you have to keep me safe. I am terrified. And so that's how it was for a while. And I started, surprising myself with like giving messages, and not just from loved ones, but mainly from spirit. And that's kind of how I got going.
Wow, you sound so much like me.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't realized if I would like to be a medium, but I haven't had anything to really go that I've noticed.
Hmm.
But I have had such a hard time with jobs. And you describe it perfectly. I feel boxed in, and then I just like I can't conform to what they want me to do. It's it's very hard for me. It is very,
Yeah.
very hard. And then you get the co-workers are just so off, and it's just hard to be a part of the team.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
I don't know about you, but I felt like, especially with my coworker, there's only one place that I worked, with the exception of two, maybe one other, maybe, that I had amazing coworkers. But it was in this time of me really owning who I was, and they were accepting. But so much of this corporate level is BS. It's a scam, like totally my opinion. But we go to work 8 to 5. I commuted. I don't know about you. So 30 minutes one way, 30 minutes back. So you get back, it's now 5:30.
Hmm.
And then you got to start supper. And then if you've got kids, you've got to give them a bath. And then you've got to read to them. And like, you have zero time to spend with yourself, your partner, or your kids. So you like, Kason goes to bed at 8:30. What a scam. And
Right.
all of these people, we're going to work, we're miserable because we have to fill, I don't know about you, but like 8 to 5, you got to stay busy, right? You can't just sit there and twiddle your thumbs.
Right.
That's not how the world works. Like the world
Yeah.
works so much better when you get the objective done and then you can reward yourself and take a deep breath. It doesn't punish you by making you stay extra. And then you
Yeah.
have zero time for everyone else. And I think all of my coworkers were just so miserable. Like we all were. And so we're all blending into the walls and not wanting to be seen. And we're all mad because this doesn't fit what it should look like. So everybody's pissed off and it's not fun. Sorry.
You
You get
are perfect. You are right on. You are describing exactly what I've been feeling for a long time.
mm,
You are dead on.
yeah, that's my views on corporate. Like, here's the other frustrating thing. I am so tired of hearing this nobody wants to work. What a bunch of crap. We do. We want to work. We want to help the world. All of us do. We want to feel like we're in need. We don't want to do it and sell our soul. That's how it
Right.
is.
Right. So, what
Hope
are
you're-
you doing to help these people with their ways of work and all? How do you help people?
So I started off as a medium. I was a certified medium under helping parents heal, and I worked a lot with folks that had lost children. It was really hard work, and I say it in a way where like watching people come to you in a broken state was just really hard. And at the time, I didn't have children, and I really couldn't relate on that end. And so I had talked to Spirit about, hey, I would really like to be able to help these people and relate to some of it. But they're like, oh, but you do. And I was like, sure I do. And they're like, your depression that you have, you you are very similar to them in so many ways because they are like you, they're chameleons. They are fitting inside these boxes that are, society puts us on and or puts us in. And the depression you're experience is not the same kind of depression they have, but we want to have you help give tools so they can function, so they can live better, so they can take a breath and really start healing, because healing at the end of the day is very similar no matter what challenge you have, whether it's a loss of a job, a loss of um, a child or parent or someone. Healing, it's layers. And when we take the first step, no matter how little or no matter how big, it is a step towards the light. It's a step towards alignment and finding our path. And so they would give me homework, like give my clients homework, and I would apply it to myself. And at the time, I was really considering taking my own life because I was just so miserable. And I was shocked that I just started feeling some kind of peace, some kind of contentment, and I wasn't no longer hating my life. And as long as I was staying true to myself and what helping people, I just felt so much relief. And my clients were able to go from A to Z and skip steps in their healing process. And I thought that was just so intriguing. And when I quit my job, I went and took a deep dive on this unknowingly. And I was able to understand that really healing work is the same as manifestation because it's all about vibrational frequency. And we're always in a constant state of manifestation, whether we want to admit it or not. Um, because so if like, let's just take me for example. Manifestation, how it works is it takes the frequency and it impacts the environment around us. So if like in layman's terms, if I'm in a bad mood and you're talking to me and I'm like, my day is great. Thanks for asking. You automatically pick that up and it impacted you in your response. I don't want to be around that person, right?
Mhm.
So I like totally repelled you. And so much of like finding out who we are, it raises that frequency. And when we're into our own truth, when we're into our own selves, and we're stop limiting the beliefs by the stories we tell ourselves, whether it's I have to have an 8 to 5 to survive, I have to have the benefits, I've got to have a 401k and life insurance, I've got to have all these and health insurance. That was my big story. Oh, I don't think I can live without health insurance. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know if I can survive. I guess my challenge to you is that true? No, it's not. I've survived a whole year and a half and did it well and did financially okay and I'm still going and I'm the happiest I've ever been. So when we really look to healing our stories, our perceptions, our beliefs in general, and really take a deep dive on all of those, if that impacts our subconscious level, and that subconscious level is what impacts our vibrational frequency, which is what creates the environment around us. So I feel like that's a deep dive, but that's what I do now. I help people with soul alignment and help them heal. And so we do a lot of what's called quantum leaps. I'm sure you're familiar,
Yeah.
where we go to A to Z. And as long as we do our homework, like from spirit, and we really check into ourselves, we're able to move faster and at a quicker pace. So, yeah, that's a little bit about what I do now.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What kind of exciting or the most positive, memorable experience have you had?
I don't know. I've had a lot. They're simple though. Being able to breathe, to wake up without an alarm clock and breathe and be able to go into my intuition and listen to spirit and not feel like I have to fight every day to fit in to someone else's storyline that they had set up for me. And it's pretty crazy because the more you surrender, the more downloads you get, for your intuition on the direction that you get to go, the more you can create and the more you can serve the world. And that alone has been so cool.
Awesome. Awesome. Have you had any like experiences that made you feel like this is not where I want to go? Let's back up. That's
Yeah. I've had experiences where you get into a low vibrational frequency, like there's aspects of channeling that, people want when they're in a fear state, they want certain things said to them. And when I would meet with clients that are skeptical, like I totally understand there's some parts of this that you have to provide evidence and all of that. But when you're not willing to hear what if you're not ready, if your heart's not open and you're just doing this to appease someone, like I've learned straight up, I don't want to work with those kind of people anymore. And And so I wrote, what I started doing was setting my intention to a certain type of clientele that had the open heart, that had um, the will to like do the work and to really put that in and make a difference. So
Yeah, yeah. That's great. That's great. Any other stories that you have that you can
yeah,
tell us
like
about?
my angelic experience was probably something that I don't know, it was pretty wild. Have you ever had one?
I guess I could kind of say I have. I'm not sure if this would qualify for it, but I had a dream of a friend of mine from high school. Um, he was wheelchair bound, and we messed with each other all the time. He always tried to run me over, and I always said I'm going to disconnect your battery so you can't go anywhere. So I always messed with him a lot. But after high school, I spoke with him, and he was coaching football, and I'm like, "How are you coaching football?" And I'm like, "Heck, he was in the marching band, so this kid could do anything." So I wondered where he was at, what he was doing, and kind of started wondering if he was walking or what. And then I had this dream that I was in his room that was pure white. It was all pure white. And he had gotten up out of his bed and started walking towards me, but he was shaky in his walking, but he started walking towards me, and the dream ended. About 10 years later, just a few years back, oh, this had oh no, just a couple years back. So that was back in like uh, 98, something
Mm.
around there. I had this dream, and then just a couple years back, I found out that he had passed 10 years prior, than about 10 years ago from when I found out.
Wow.
So I was like,
So you had a visitation.
I had a visitation from him, and that was so cool because I felt so thankful that he thought of me and came
Mhm.
back and let me know that he's okay and he is walking. Because I wondered,
Yeah.
is he or isn't he? Is he? I just, for some reason, it just like kept pounding me.
Yeah. Yeah, when I had mine, my friend Jared, this was like in the midst of me trying to accept everything too, like I have so many bizarre experiences, it's unreal. Um, I guess I'll start with like one of them so you can have some context to my reasoning why I was being such a jerk to that poor angel guy. Anyways, um, so when I got told I was a medium, I didn't believe it. Like I was researching because I was so obsessed with Teresa Caputo.
Hmm.
And I was really obsessed, not really about the dead, but really how she was helping people. And so I would race home to watch two shows. It was Extreme Weight Loss with Chris and Heidi Powell, and he was helping morbidly, or they were helping morbidly obese people slim down. And then Teresa, because she was helping these poor people that were so distraught function. And I was like, I want to. And I remember talking out loud to God, and I was like, I want to do this. I want to help people. And that was always my dream or my prayer as a child, help people and animals. And so one day I was sitting on the couch, I was watching Extreme Weight Loss, and this this guy, he had lost like 300 and some pounds, and he was dedicating a park to his mom, and minding my own business, sitting there, and all of a sudden, audibly, his mom comes through and was like, "That's my baby boy. Oh my gosh, I am so proud of him. Look at him, Kaci. Look how great he looks." And I was like, someone's in my house. Oh my God. So I went and like, totally freaked out, called Jared. I'm like, someone's at my house. Get over here. And he's like, there's no one in your house. He went through the whole thing. I made him get on his hands and knees under my bed. And I mean, and so I was like, great, I feel crazy. And so I was like, I dialed in my mentor at the time, or she was a healer and channel that I'd reluctantly went to see because I was having all these bizarre experiences. And she's like, yeah, you're right. I told you you were a medium. And I'm like, I don't know. And I had several other experiences, like where I'd be watching TV and the person that passed, like one was a singer, she had passed, and I was like, no way. And I text Joni and she was like, yeah, that's part of it. And you're doing it. They're helping you grow your gifts. Like all of these people over there, a person is just like a soul is a soul. It doesn't
Hmm.
matter. And I was just like, well, who am I to do this work? Like, who am I? Like, I went through that whole imposter thing. And anyways, I was still fighting. And Jared and I were watching. Have you ever seen the show I Am Malala?
No.
It's about this girl that got it's again, it's she's I'm obsessed with her because or I was at the time because she was helping people. She was part of I think she lived in Pakistan and she stood up to the Taliban and then they shot her in the head. And Spirit talked about how they protected her. And so she came out and she's even more vibrant. And she talks about education and helping young women and da 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 da. And um it was during that show that an angel just showed up. Like Jared disappeared completely, and this angel was like in my living room, bigger than my basement living room. Like I just remember looking like, how do you fit in here? He didn't speak, but yet I was still understanding how he was communicating, which I was
Right.
really fascinated. And I was like, I remember being very curious. He's very muscular. And that's when he was like, you've got to start using your voice. You've got to start helping people. You cannot fight this. And then me being the jerk I was like, how about we do a little bargaining here? So that was mine.
Yeah.
But
I had an argument, which this is my Jesus Take the Wheel, taken after the song, that I was going to work and they were telling me to get gas and I was stopped at a light and I'm like, I don't need gas. I could do it after work and it's sub-zeros outside. I'm not getting gas right now. And you need to get gas. I'm like, no, I don't need gas. I didn't realize I was just talking to myself per se at the time, but I was hearing this voice, and by the fourth time, they said, no, you're getting gas. They took my wheel and they stepped on the gas and they put me into the turning lane to get gas. As I go, I'm getting gas. Yeah, and so I went and got gas, and it took forever because it was sub-zeros. The gas was coming out so slow, and I was like, "Ah, this is forever." I kept checking my watch, it's like, I'm going to be late for work. And sure enough, right next to my work, there's a creek, or just not even a creek. I mean, it's just a bridge, a small little bridge. And sure enough, somebody got hurt.
oh
I
my
would have
God.
been there at that time.
Oh,
Yeah, so I
too
was
bad.
10.
But I'm glad you didn't get hurt.
I know. I'm glad they helped me because I was like, I didn't realize all of this at that time. And I was just like, wow, this happened to me. I can't, they actually took the wheel. They moved my car. I'm like, but yeah, I'm just learning. I just have little things like that happen all the time. I don't have any, I haven't zoned in. It
Yeah.
just happens, boom. This happened. Oh.
Yeah. I think so much of intuition expansion has to do with acknowledging the little things around you, the synchronicities, the crazy things like that, and just giving a head nod and then opening our eyes and our hearts, more importantly, to what else is out there. Like, I remember so many times, like when I was, because we're all light workers, like, right?
Mhm.
And when our lights are getting bigger, what happens when, like, think about it like a bug light. When our lights get bigger, bugs attract to it, right? We get more information. And I had to learn so much about boundaries. I remember having dead people, excuse my, or people who passed, sorry, I don't mean to be um, it's so rude, but, like, I had people that would pass line up in my hallway, and I was just like I remember looking down my hallway, and I was just like, I don't know what to do with you. And I learned that there are signs and there's great things about intuition that's great, but there's also, a need for boundaries and how much we limit ourselves to being open to all of these things because then we start giving away our energy. And that was probably one of the biggest takeaways I learned early on with my intuition. And it's like when we are just getting signs, we're like, oh, this is cool. And then we get even more curious. We're like, what else
Right.
is out there? Right. And that's how I was. And then they just, from my experience, people that have passed on, they just want to let their family and loved ones know that they're okay. But there's only so much you can do. And to be able, because I'm an empath, I was taking on their energy and their emotions. And then I didn't know what I was doing. So I was also taking on the living, their emotions and feelings. And it just got to be so much. And what I learned is like, especially when we're just beginning and we're curious and we're so excited that we got a synchronicity or had an experience like for me personally being able to be like okay you cannot touch me, you cannot come to me when I am working, like it has to be information of the highest good, like little things like that was so instrumental when I started because it's so easy to get caught up and then get scared. So that was just my experience. I don't know about you, but for me.
Yeah, I just have little bitty things happen. Some of the small stuff I see getting out of the shower, I see faces in the mirror, and
Hmm.
not really human faces.
Hard
They're,
pass.
what was that?
I couldn't deal with that. That would freak me out. That's a boundary for me too. Like, mm-mm.
Yeah, it was just kind of weird. So I got a picture of it, or yeah, I took a picture of it, but I outlined what I was seeing so the picture would show it more. And one
Mhm.
time I had more human face looking like at me, and another non-human looking like this way. It
Yeah.
was it was kind of weird, but I wasn't scared. I was just like, oh, okay, hello. But just
Yeah.
little things like that. I've seen Sherlock Holmes in a mirror.
Oh my. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And that was like I was working nighttime job and as a security guard and I was looking in the mirror and it was like, what?
Ah,
I'm looking all over, rubbing my eyes, and it's like, he's still there. Cap and pipe and everything.
so cool.
Yeah.
One of my most memorable I have a few, but one of my memorable moments was like when I was first starting. It's not a very good story, but like I was really obsessed with Dateline at the time. And this was like before I had boundaries, and this poor little boy had been murdered. And I remember him wanting me to go find his parents, and I was like, like, and just he wouldn't leave. Like, so he would do like I felt like a lint roller went down. He went through me, but it felt like a lint roller full of shivers that went clear from my head to my toes, and I was like, and
Uh-huh.
that was like the first time that I was like, yeah, I'm gonna have to have some hard rules about touching me and like I don't know, but it was really interesting. But another one I was just thinking about when I was first get going, um, I was really obsessed with CNN like news because I was bored. I couldn't be on social media. And so like I would always get click on there and there was this awful story about this poor little kid that he had been eaten by an alligator at a resort.
Oh, I
And
heard about that one.
yeah, so I was
Yeah.
minding my own business, and all of a sudden I saw his picture of his face come through, and he was like, "Look how cute I am, Casey. Look, look." And like and I'm like, and I read the article again. I'm like, I was putting two and two together, like, he's from the article. And so I started asking him, like, "Are you okay? Did you feel it?" And he was like, "No, I was taken before he felt it." And I was like, "Oh, thank God!" Like, I
Yeah.
was it's so much, so interesting, and I think at the time, my coworkers were thinking I was crazy. One of them thought I was schizo, which is I thought I was too, right? And one time, like when he thought I was really losing it, he had lost his grandma. He was like, okay, if this is really true, grandma, like have Casey come over and give me some kind of validation. So the next day I'm at work plugging away and I'm like, grandma comes through and I'm like, I am not going to go talk to Steve about this. He already thinks I'm a lunatic. And so I was getting anxiety so bad. And she was like, just go. And I'm like, it's so embarrassing. So I go trudging across the hallway and I'm like, Steve, your grandma said she made it. And he was like, he just turned into a ghost. And I'm like, I freaked out because I thought he thought I was crazy again. So I was like,
Right.
bye. I like ran to my office and I'm like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. He came by later and he goes, I had asked her. And he was a well known atheist in the building.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, I had asked if it was true for you to come give me a message. I was like, so I went and smacked him. I was like, do you know how much anxiety that gave me? Yeah.
So
He
now
was
he talks to you quite a bit after that.
he does. He had some other trauma go on in his life, like with his family members. One of them was murdered, and it was a question of a suicide. And yeah, it was interesting. I helped put some information on that. So if they ever open the case, I was like, you got to tell me if it's accurate or not. So turning
Yeah.
into a crime junkie, but it's been a heck of a journey, a rewarding one and a hard one, but such a fun learning one
I
as
had a
well.
fun one last night, an
Yeah.
interesting one last night. Um, so I went to a concert last night and we're sitting there in the middle of one of the songs. I feel something hit me like a pin hit me in the back of the neck just below the skull.
Uh-huh.
Like the pin was this way. It wasn't like straight in or tapping on me or anything like that. It was like straight in and it hit my hair as if it was down like this. But I had my sister look behind my chair to see if anything was on the ground in case, someone did throw something or it would have landed. And she's into this too, so she's cool. And she looks behind me and she goes, "There's nothing there." And I looked behind me. There's no kids. Nobody's even sitting behind us. And I'm like, I felt that. And it felt like my hair moved. It hit my hair, but it didn't. My hair wasn't even sitting there. I had it all pulled up.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. This morning I'm thinking it was resilient. Resilience. Somebody else was there, previous concert or something like that, and they were doing something. I
Oh
don't know,
wow.
but that was last night. So
Oh wow. So cool.
yeah.
Those are the things that make us even more curious and want to like dive in more, at least from what I've found.
So I asked my sister to record it or send me the recording that she had of that song, so I can
Mhm.
look more deeper into it and see if there was something going on in the song that would inspire something to hit me in the back of the head. It wasn't hard. It was just very soft, just enough to let me know, hey, I'm here.
Feels male. It all sorry, not to channel. I don't mean to.
Oh
It
no.
definitely feels male. And then like there was three people that pulled you or got you on the car thing. Um, Definitely felt like three, and one of them was male, and it feels very similar energy. So not to read, I don't
Uh,
mean to, but
for
just
in my Jesus Take the Wheel, that
mm-hmm,
was a male.
mm-hmm. A
Okay.
younger one that he looks younger. So
Younger male. I've got to take notes.
he he looks like, or when I ask him, it talks about how he left before his time, passed before his time. It's a relative or friend. Hang on. I'm not sure, but he's someone that was close to you, that's for sure. Outdoorsy type, used his hands a lot. Anyways, I don't
I
mean to
will,
read, but
yeah. No, 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 that's fine. I will have to think
get
about
put
that.
on the spot. I call it spirit amnesia. It's hard to really like, oh, and then later you're like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he'll
That's what
come
happened.
to me because the one that got me into this is his name is Shane. He's called the lightning medium. Shane the
Oh,
lightning medium, and he was hit by lightning, and and
gosh.
yeah, and
Oh,
that increased his abilities. Um, but yeah, he got me into this, and he said that when we first started talking, there was a few people were in my area where I was working, and by the time he left the job, he said, "You've got so many people; it's crowded over here."
mhm.
And he brought in my grade school teacher. He brought in a coworker that was trying to say hi to me and everything. It was really cool.
That is so
Really
neat.
cool.
Yeah, it's such a rewarding gift.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, I'm really I'll have to think about this one that helps me with Jesus take the
yeah,
wheel thing. So yeah, I'll have to think about that.
very cool. I didn't mean to channel. I just was like, oh, that's interesting. So, anyways,
No, you're cool. You're cool. I mean,
yeah,
I've been wondering about all of this for so long. So if anything, if you could get anything, I'm happy. Um, yeah. Any other stories?
you know, I was sick really for a long time. I had horrible, horrible um, lady troubles. I call it my lady part drama. I had fibroids. I had precancerous cells. I was told I wasn't going to be able to have kids. And I had this doctor's office in Dodge City tell me I was going to die of cancer because I refused to get, I was at one point, I was just so tired of being chopped on. And I just said, no more. And so they were taking biopsies of my cervix. And I think, I don't know, probably the eighth or ninth time, I was just like, I'm done. I don't want any more. I'll die if I have to. But I just had this sense of I'm going to be okay. So I followed my intuition and I moved that year. And the spirit guided me to the Instagram page of the medical medium.
Okay.
That man, I owe him the quality of my life and probably my life. I went from having golf ball sized fibroids on my cervix, like three of them. When I went to the hospital, they were measuring that day, and I was supposed to have them cut out. And I'd had these things for years. And hormone troubles, I mean, you name it. I had IBS horribly bad. I had acne. Um, I never had energy. I was always exhausted. I just wasn't feeling like a early 30s person earlier in their 30s should feel like. And my periods were just horrendous. I can't even describe them. And I go in, and this is after I had been directed to his name is Anthony Williams. And Spirit guided me to his work. And I was so desperate. I was at the time going looking to heal my IBS because I couldn't even have a candy bar without fear of being sick. And I was planning out my meals based on where the bathroom was. Like that's how sick I was.
No.
And in the midst of this, I had chronic UTIs. And so they were never going away. And I was immune to most medicine because everybody was throwing spaghetti at a wall and it wasn't working. And so I had started, it was a diet. And I am not a big dieter. And I thought, in my family, fad dieting is a thing. And I just was like, I don't have a desire. I never will. And like as a child, spirit would talk to me. I think I was 5 about um, how we would go out into a pasture and it's called snake root. Have you heard of it?
Mm-mm. No.
I think it's called echinacea is it's a numbing agent.
Huh.
And it's a flower and you can get the roots, and they would talk about how there's more than just flowers that heal. And this is a numbing agent, but there's like healing properties of apples and natural things. And they were talking about grounding practices and all of this. And I was 5, 7, somewhere in there. I didn't get it. Well, when I started Anthony reading into his work, Spirit came in and they're like, "Do you remember this? This is what we mean. This is a pure source." And I was like, "I don't care. I'm desperate. I'll do anything." And he was talking about celery juice. And I'm like, "I hate celery. I hate vegetables." I'm like, "Okay, I'm desperate. I'll do it. I don't want to have some kind of embarrassing moment and like not be able to make it to the bathroom or end up in the ER for the fifth time or get chopped on again." And so I started juicing celery and studying his work. And it was at the beginning where he didn't have very many books out. He had like one. And so he had a blog, and I followed his blog to a T. And so every morning I would plug my nose and drink celery juice. And within 3 months, my IBS was gone. And I went in to have my woman's appointment because they were going to scan my cervix to see when to schedule surgery to cut my fibroids out. They were gone, all three of them. And I was like, when she was scanning me, I was like, "Scan again." And she was like, "I don't need to scan again." I'm like, "Scan again." Like, I've had these for years. And so she was all irritated at me and did it again. They were gone. So I went to my OBGYN after, and she was like, "I don't know how you did it, but everything is clear. You don't have scar tissue. You don't have these fibroid things or whatever." And I was like, "This is weird." So I was a real bad skeptic. So I went in to the Instagram, and lo and behold, I kid you not, there was a post on fibroids and how celery juice and eliminating these problem foods starves these and they disappear. And there was another post about IBS. Like, I nearly fell over. And since then, I've become a medical intuitive. Like, when I work with my patients, like, spirit will come in and say, "Okay, you have stomach issues, point to this book." And so like it's been really kind of a cool experience. And during
Wow.
that time, I had always been told I couldn't have kids, and because I was always had some kind of issue, right? And
Right.
I got pregnant with my son. So
That is so awesome. That
yeah.
is so awesome. And that would be quite a surprise.
Yeah, it was. Isn't it a beautiful surprise? But so that is the power. Like, if we surrender and really get curious and open our hearts, there's so much out there to learn, to observe, to like to be able to tap into so we can actually have a bigger impact on the world. That's my belief system. So,
Yeah. Well, I recently had um what is it? We're still in March. So in February. um my mom passed away a year ago
oh,
last
sorry.
month. And actually I call it a blessing because she was diabetic and it was getting to her. She only had like 1% of her kidney, or yeah, kidney. So she was ready. And I told her, I go, about 2 weeks prior, I go, "Mom, go, it's okay. Just do it. Just go. You know,
Mhm.
if you're ready, go." And so last month was her birthday. So she passed a week before she passed a week after her birthday.
Oh,
And so I'm driving home and I'm like, "Mom, if you're with me, let me know so I can wish you a happy birthday. Show me some sort of birthday thing, birthday cake, birthday candles, or something along that line." And not 20, 25 minutes later, I'm looking through my phone, and on Facebook, here was this huge birthday cake picture. And
aw,
I
aw.
know, I know, it's like, "Happy birthday, Mom." So that was one of my first real connections like that, like asking and actually getting something
Yeah.
nearby, so I remember what I asked. Yeah, so that was really
Cool.
cool. That was
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, so many stories.
Mhm.
So many stories. I could go on forever. Yeah, just little things. But yeah, well, thank you so much for being with me. I so enjoyed our talk. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
If you are interested, or you or anybody else, I have a free Facebook group. Um, Feel free to join. We do practice circles. I have intuition classes. We do free card readings and soul readings and all that. So feel free to join. So
Yeah, I will
it's
get connected.
yeah, so
All right. Well, thank you again for joining me. And
having me.
yeah, got to talk more.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us again today. And again, if you have any stories or know of anybody that would like to be a guest on the show, please email lighttalk423 at gmail.com and click on those like, share, and subscribe buttons. And we will chat with you all later. Thanks again for joining us. Bye.